This question is from one of our Reader Advisory Committee members, Tristan Kloss, who is a UWM student and also a resident of Milwaukee.
Yeah.
There's a growing concern among the UW campus community that public education is quickly becoming unaffordable for lower to middle income class families. Part of the increase in cost is attributed to the slow decline in support for universities in the state budget. What solutions do you see for keeping our public universities affordable for all of Wisconsin's families?
Yeah. Well, clearly in my case, I've got a self-interest because I've got a junior and a sophomore, so I'm just a couple years away from my kids going to college. So obviously tuition, financial assistance, things of that nature are high on my list just as a parent, let alone as someone who would like to be the governor. I think there's a couple things. Besides, and obviously in the state budget, we're going to be crunched on everything. So I can't just blindly tell you, oh yeah, I'm going to cover all that and increase aid when I know we've got a $2.7 to $3.1 billion budget deficit right now. What I can say to that question is I think there are things we can do campus by campus to empower, whether it's UWM, whether it's UW-Madison, Oshkosh, UWGB, La Crosse, you name it, to empower our individual campuses to have more autonomy over their futures. And in particular, to free them from some of the restrictions that both state government and in particular the UW system impose on them. A couple examples. Right now, all these campuses have to do procurement, purchasing, things like that under the state account. When, for example, if I go over to Madison, talk to Biddy Martin, the chancellor there, she says, we could buy off the Big Ten contract and we could probably save money in doing it. Well, the state doesn't do that because a little bit of fiefdom from the Department of Administration, but also part of it is the concept that the state buys in volume, having the UW system go off of that and buy on their own would reduce the volume discounts that they get for those purchases. Well, why not go the other way around? Why not work with the university system if they can go through the Big Ten and buy at a lower rate? Why not only let them do it, but buy things for the state? Now, that would take a reversal in opinions about the role of state government, but to me, if our purpose is to provide better services, not just bigger government, that might be a way to do that. Those are just a few examples of things, but I think the more we can do to empower those campuses to better spend, better control the money they have, and not just for financial purposes, but I think when you think of the M7 here, you think of the new North up in the Northeast, when you think of all the different regional economic development groups out there, having a system where they can tie in more locally and not just be under the UW system, but tie in specifically to the regional economic interest of the area, I think would be very effective. We see it not only for UWM, but UW Parkside and UW Whitewater. In the M7, we could do more of that across the state.
What role does financial aid, grants, and what role does the governor play in making sure enough of those are available?
Well, I think the key is, and the bigger factor than tuition is financial aid. Because tuition, I want to keep tuition reasonable as well, but tuition affects, obviously, students from even outside of the state of Wisconsin. So for me, what I want to look at is trying to make sure that we've got ways for students, particularly from Wisconsin, particularly in the middle class and lower income students and their families to be able to afford that. And that means trying to find ways to make sure that financial aid runs as much as possible parallel with where tuition's at.
Is there a role for the governor to play in financial aid?
Well, sure. It's a big part of the budget.
Okay. So would you increase that?
Well, again, we have to balance everything off. Tuition goes up. We'd certainly look for ways to have financial aid to go up to be parallel to that. How much we can do, obviously, a lot's going to depend on how things shake out with this next budget.